Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now today we're going to do a stout, ho ho, and it's from Huddersfield. But yeah, today we're going to be doing Dark Arts Surreal Stout. There you go. Marvellous. Dark Arts Surreal Stout. Now, I don't really know much about this brew. I think is it the Magic Rock Brewing Company? I think it is. It's the price of this was a 440ml can. It's a 440ml can. It ranges from roughly about £2.70 for the 440ml can to over £3 for the same can. So it's apparently it's classed as a premium product for the prices. But now what's the alcohol content? It is 6%. There you go. So it's 6%, and it's from Huddersfield. And I think this company tends to kind of take more kind of traditional style beers and give them more kind of an American twist, you know. Apparently so. So let's crack it open and see if it's any good or not. What's going on with this camera? It's a bit. There we go. That's a bit better. A wee bit all over the place there. Is that sitting down? I don't know, is it sitting down or what? Or something gone wrong here? I don't know, it just seems to be sitting a bit low. Am I missing something here? I don't know, so anyway. Let's crack it open. It always looks good from it's in a tin. Got a big thick glass for this one. Let's get it chucked in there and see what it's like. It's absolutely chanking right now, so it is. So let's see what this is like. See if this is a good stout or not. I think I've run out of it. Actually, I can't remember where I got this from. So I can't. Well, I can smell it. Well, I can smell something. For the people on the podcast, it's absolutely jet black. It being a stout is not a big surprise. And I would say probably normally it'd be about, well, it's showing 2 finger head the way I poured it because it's a bigger glass than the can. So I knew I could get the can in here without any issues or problems. So there's no point in pouring it a certain way. So I'd probably say maybe normally if you were pouring it, you'd get maybe a 1 finger head, but it's getting a bit 2 finger head. And yeah, let's see what it smells like. Oh, you're getting some fruitiness there, which is unusual. I'm not expecting these type of flavours from a stout. But yeah, I'm getting floral notes and fruitiness, kind of dried fruits and floralness. Kind of always a bit of kind of roasted grain smells, but yeah, I'm just getting more hops, really. Which again is something you wouldn't expect to get in a stout. Christ, here we go again. Right, okay, but yeah, I'm getting kind of floralness and kind of dried fruit kind of tones. I'm not saying the flavours are going to be there, but that's the aromas I'm getting. And yeah, maybe a little bit of the kind of roasted grains, but that's really it. So let's see what it tastes like. Oh, right. Ah, well. Okay. Right. Right. They did say it was a stout, wasn't it? I'm just checking because I'm getting flavour tones of more of a porter than I am of a bloody stout. And yeah, there is a bit of dried fruit, a bit of floralness there. And yeah, what I was smelling is exactly what I'm getting. Well, there's flavour there, I'll give it that. Whether some of the flavours that really should be there, well, again, that's That's up to kind of personal interpretation. I know what I expect to get from a stout and what I expect to get from a porter. But yeah, there is a bitterness there, which is kind of quite nice, but it's kind of slightly tasting a bit kind of bitter chocolate, kind of bitterness, that type of thing, you know, really dark chocolate bitterness, which again, and with that kind of dried fruit and floral, it does give me slightly kind of Turkish delight kind of vibes to a certain degree. But there's a good level of bitterness in the back end, which is fine. I like that a lot. But let's just say there's a lot more than going on in this than there is in the likes of Guinness and all these other ones like Black Heart, all these kind of nitro pour stouts I always say are quite bland. Well, tasting this, yeah, you would understand why I call them bland. But yeah, there's a bit more to this, and this has a wee bit of kind of velvet kind of mouthfeel. Slightly velvety. That wasn't a gag. It just cut the wrong part of the throat there as it was going down. That wasn't a gag. Oh, you know, snuffled it. But yeah, yes. As I'm tasting it and taking more sips, the flavours are slightly kind of developing a bit. So yes, it's a bit of a slow burner to start with. You know, it does obviously give you the flavours, but I think you need a few sips to let it kind of settle. So you get a better kind of idea and identification of what's going on. There's a sweetness there at the start that I think is just a little bit too sweet. I think it just needs to kind of die down a bit. It does, I've got to admit, when it starts off, it does remind me of kind of brew dogs, kind of stouts, and kind of sirens kind of stouts, you know, they have that kind of, I mean, is there lactose in it? Because I'm just wondering, because it is a bit sweeter than really what it should be. Contains barley, oats. So no, it doesn't look like it's got any. No, it doesn't. So I don't think it's a milk stout because it doesn't contain any lactose, and obviously going by the basis it is registered by the Vegan Society, so I very much doubt it's got lactose in it. So I don't really know. It does. I'm not saying it's as sweet as a normal kind of milk stout, but there is a sweetness there that's closer to a milk stout than it is to a normal stout. It's just that little bit too sweet. Not as completely sweet as a milk stout, but there is a sweetness there that's just maybe a little bit more than you would expect from a normal stout. So there's the first kind of strange thing. Yeah, there is a sweetness there. You are getting a bitterness at the end, but you are getting this sweetness that's maybe just a little bit too sweet. And I think it adds to the kind of the dried fruit effect, and with a kind of chocolatey bitterness, it does give you more of a kind of confectionery feel to it. Well, it is kind of similar. I just imagine if they made Fry's Chocolate Delight, which is a chocolate bar in the UK. You might get it in other countries. I don't think you get it in America. But just imagine that type of chocolate bar. But instead of using milk chocolate, they use a darker chocolate. It's like that, to a certain degree. Which, let's be totally honest, isn't normal kind of stout flavours. No. I mean, it's okay, but, you know, it's like you're making a traditional beer, but you're adding kind of different flavours and mucking about with it and everything else, which is okay, fine. You're quite within your right to do that, but some of the flavors that are there are kind of pulling it away from being a kind of stout. You mean, you might call it a stout, you might have basically brewed it like a stout, but some of the flavours are just kind of dragging it away from the kind of normal kind of stout flavours and feels and everything else, and it's just, and that sweetness, yeah, just a little bit too much actually. But anyway, let's break down these flavours. Right, start off, you get a little bit of malt, but you're really getting a lot of dark roasted grains. So there's a lot of roasted grain flavours going on there. You get a little bit of malt, but not much. But you are getting malt, but the grains are the kind of predominant flavour at the start of the mouth. Which again, alarm bells are ringing, because you've also got this kind of quite a decent amount of sweetness there as well. But because the malts aren't so prevalent and so strong at the front of the mouth, and the grains are, you're kind of wondering, where's the sweetness come from? Because you really shouldn't be getting the sweetness from the dark roasted grains. You know, it's like alarm bells are ringing. And you're thinking, it throws you, because you expect, if you have a flavour there, you expect to have an idea of where it's coming from. And of course, normally if you're getting a sweetness, you think, oh well, it's a good malty flavour, well, it should be coming from the malt, yeah. And the grain kind of adds a little bit of offset to that, just to kind of pull it a little back so it doesn't get overpowering. But no, it's like the sweetness just doesn't seem to be connected to anything. You're thinking, well, where's it come from? And that's the kind of worrying thing, is it? Right, there's no lactose in it. Obviously there's malts in it, but the malts are obviously overpowered by that roasted grains, which is normal in a stout, because the stout should be kind of slightly more bitter edged. It's not like a porter. The porter comes from roasted malts, the flavours, whereas a stout, it comes from roasted grains, and that's what you're getting at the front of the mouth. You're getting that, but you're getting this sweetness from nowhere, and it just doesn't seem to kind of connect with anything. You think, where's that coming from, and why is it so strong? You mean, kind of strange. And then it moves on to the kind of mid-term. And you start getting these hoppy flavours. And the problem with the hoppy flavours is they're mixing with this kind of sweetness, because sweetness doesn't really die down from the front of the mouth. So you're getting these really kind of slightly syrupy, kind of dried fruits. It's almost date like, you know, it's almost like dates. You know, it's to the level of like a plum porter, but it's very kind of syrupy sweet, kind of dried fruits, and it does give me a, you know, like Middle Eastern dates, and you pick them up and you've got the kind of syrup in the tin, and it's just like that. It's that kind of Middle Eastern kind of dates, kind of flavour-esque. You get a slightly kind of floralness as well, which again just kind of adds that kind of slightly Turkish delight flavour. So you've got the floralness, which is giving you the slightly kind of rose water kind of Turkish delight feel about it, and then you have this kind of syrupy kind of dried fruit mixing with the sweetness, and it's almost like a confectionery rather than a beer. And as I'm drinking it more, the bitterness is dying down a bit, and I'm just getting more and more sweetness. So I'm still getting a little bit of bitterness now in the aftertaste, but it's not as strong as it was when I first started, because obviously I've got more acclimatised and used to it. But the sweetness is still there, so the predominant flavour right now is the sweetness from front to back, and it's still quite strong in the aftertaste. You're getting a bit of bitterness, but it's getting a lot of sweetness, and it's just not really working out so well. If that makes sense. It's kind of strange. Yeah, I don't know what they were trying to make here. I mean, there is obviously some stout flavours there, but there's some strange flavours that are just I wouldn't associate with a stout. A stout is a more bitter edge, dark roasted grain kind of beer. Um, you really shouldn't be getting fruity tones and things like this. And you certainly really shouldn't be getting kind of hops as a predominant flavour. So yeah, what would I give this out of 10? Is a question. I mean, flavour wise, there's plenty of flavour. But as a stout, no, I think it's kind of there's too much going on and it's overshadowing the kind of more traditional stout flavours, which is a bit disappointing. The two predominant kind of flavours, especially in the mid tongue, and from front to back, is the sweetness and the kind of hoppy flavours. The hoppy flavours are kind of unusual for a stout, and the sweetness is just too much, to the point that it's bordering on slightly sickly, which is a bit strange because it's not a milk stout. I mean, there's nothing there that tells me it's a milk stout, and it's registered by the Vegan Society, and there's no mention of lactose, so it can't be a milk stout because obviously if it was approved by the Vegan Society, then it's not going to have animal products, which is lactose is an animal product, so it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, what would I give this out of 10? I can't even say it's average because the flavours are just all over the place. To give it average, I'm just trying to kind of work it out in my head. So a 5, if I said it was a 5, then no, I don't think it is, because 5 I would say, yeah, it's a kind of box standard average stout. It's okay, nothing special. But this is going the other way because you've got all these kind of other adjunct kind of flavours that are kind of overpowering the kind of stout flavours, especially the sweetness. Yeah, so I'd say it's below average from that point of view. Right, I'm going to give this a 4. And I think it's probably me being slightly generous because it's kind of fluttering between a 3 and a 4. I'm going to give it a 4 because at the end of the day, just because it's not my cup of tea, maybe other people might like it. But for me, it's moving too far away from a more kind of traditional stout for me to kind of really give it a good stout score. As for a beer itself, it's okay. It's a bit too sweet for me. The bitterness that I was getting at the start kind of died down, and it's kind of the sweetness is the kind of more predominant flavour now, which for me is to its detriment. It's not improving it, it's making it worse as you kind of get more acclimatized to it. So yeah, if we're just taking it as a beer, I think best I could give it is a 5, but even then it's not for me. As a stout, yeah, best I can give it is a 4 out of 10. It really isn't for me a particularly good stout. Plenty of flavour, but unfortunately it's the wrong flavours in my personal opinion. So yeah, 5 out of 10. It's 6%. It's a 440ml. Price wise, well, it's a bit overpriced. £2.70 to basically well over £3, depending on where you're buying it. I think that's overpriced for what it is. And yeah, my view is I'm not recommending it, but if you like stouts, give it a go and see what you think. And if you have tried it, let me know. But for me, it's just moving too far away from the kind of more traditional flavours, and it's losing its connection with being a stout. And then you think, well, what's the point then? If you're going to make something and call it a stout, then you can add other accent flavours, But if these accent flavours are overpowering the actual traditional stout flavours, then what's the point of making a stout then? What was the point of it? What we achieved? Well, we made this stout, but it doesn't really taste like a stout anymore, so aren't we wonderful? Not really if you're actually supposed to be trying to make a stout, but anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it, but it's up to you if you want to try it. It's just too sweet for me and too kind of Turkish delighty for me. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers and bye for now.